magic coffee. I mean, it's overwhelming. Most people are exhausted trying to fight a battle they cannot win. If you feel this way, trust me, you're not alone. I used to feel that way too. But let me tell you, it's not your fault. Your body is working against you, and the longer you wait, the harder it gets. Do what I did. I called PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition 3 years ago. I lost 53 pounds. I feel terrific, and I've kept the weight off. Make the phone call that can change your life the way it has changed mine. They won't let you fail. Call 855-696-2020. That's 855-696-2020 to schedule your consultation. The first 11 callers who mention the word healthy will get 2 free weeks added to their weight loss package. Call now, 855-696-2020. Mention the keyword healthy to get 2 free weeks, or visit them at myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com.
NVIDIA announces plans to build AI supercomputers in Texas and invest up to $500 billion in AI production within the U.S.
This marks the first time that NVIDIA will be producing its cutting-edge AI technology entirely within the United States. According to Barron's, NVIDIA has commissioned over 1 million square feet of manufacturing space in Arizona and Texas to build and test its Blackwell chips and AI supercomputers. Over the next 4 years, the company plans to produce up to $500 billion worth of AI infrastructure in the United States. Tasha Stevens reporting.
The Trump administration granting nearly 70 coal-fired power plants a 2-year exemption from federal requirements to reduce emissions of chemicals such as mercury, arsenic, and benzene. The actions follow an executive order last week by President Trump that were aimed at boosting the struggling coal industry. Breaking news at townhall.com. Starbucks is imposing new limits on what its baristas can wear under their green aprons. Starbucks said the new dress code will make the green aprons stand out and create a sense of familiarity for customers. Here's a story for book lovers.
Residents of a small Michigan community stood side by side to help a local bookstore move 9,100 books, one by one, from its former site to a new location about a block away. Serendipity Books owner Michelle Tupland says about 300 people volunteered to pass the books in a human chain through downtown Chelsea on Sunday. The Book Brigade's helpers lined both sides of the sidewalk, moving the books from the shelves at the old location directly to the correct shelves in the new bookstore building on Main Street. Tupland said Tuesday that the endeavor took just under 2 hours, and they even put the books back in alphabetical order. Keith Peters, Washington.
More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
The following is an America Matters media production. The views expressed do not necessarily represent those of the station or its advertisers, although we think they should. But that's the opinion of America Matters Media.
Vote for me and I'll set you free.
Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. Come together right now. Over me.
All right, folks, you certainly know what that theme song means by now. That's right. It's time for another episode of America Matters. I'm your host, Leo Zacky, with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson. And it looks like we've got Paul White there in the studio with Ray Rocha. What's up, guys? So glad you could join us today on America Matters.
I got 2 words for you, Leo. Go Gators.
Oh, go Gators.
That's right.
But bear
well,
down.
they got lucky for a change.
Yeah.
No.
Well, he's wearing orange and blue. That's why I said that, you know. But, yeah, we got Paul White on. He's a wealth of knowledge, and he was telling me this morning how not only does he want to support you, Leo, but also he'll meet you anywhere in California and talk about education to anybody that you want to talk to.
I appreciate that, Paul. We're going to make sure that we have that set up.
Let me know.
Oh, we're going to get that set up. Don't you worry, brother. I'm glad that you want to be on board. You know what? It's not even want. You are on board, brother. You're on Team Zacky. That's for sure.
You can shoot out a platform on some of these hottest issues that they'd have no answer for, Leo. You'd absolutely be the stealth bomber coming in, and they'd be I don't know, the van delivery truck or something.
Yeah. Amen. Amen.
Well, you know what? That's for dang sure. Strategic. That's how we're going to be. That's how success is going to be found. And with your help, I know that's part of it. I've learned so much from you already just from knowing you over these past couple of years. So I already feel ahead of the game as is.
You're gonna like this. Like in restaurants, fusion is the big thing, right? You're gonna like this. We have a $27 million budget deficit, Leo, in the county, and we have a library system that's bloated budget and a disaster, and a homeless thing that's a mess. And what I just have got out with, this is the lead op-ed in the Nevada Globe I wrote 2 days ago. Shows how to tie all three together and solve all three of them. Boom. And I mean, so
plus
good
the
things
city
going.
of Sparks is $12 million in the hole. Reno is what, 27 million?
My idea would take us, Leo, almost overnight from a 27 million budget deficit to a 23 million surplus.
Wow.
Well, I mean, that's the best part, is that your solution is complementary. And that's a lot of the ways that my solutions are. They have to be able to all basically work together to create the success that we're looking for. And these budget deficits, well, I mean, that's just poor mismanagement. There's no doubt about that. And it's not unique to California, as Ray mentioned, that you guys are experiencing this in cities all across Nevada. I mean, this is happening across the country. And let's face it, the corruption is just around the globe. But we have the power to take that back and turn it around. It just takes motivated leadership, the right people. Unfortunately, the quote-unquote most successful and most capable quote-unquote people that should be taking these jobs, well, they don't want to, because it comes with so much backlash, because all this vehement hatred that's been spewed from the left, because people just want to attack and destroy anybody that has some sort of benefit, because they're essentially enriching themselves off of this corruption. And it's destroying the ability for us to actually provide for our citizens and to make sure our kids get an education.
Right.
By the way, Paul did a great job yesterday at the Red Move lunch in speaking about the homelessness and some
these
on
issues,
education. Yeah. He did really a good job, which was surprising considering it's Paul.
But yeah. Well, even a blind pig gets an acorn once in a while, right?
Anyway, he's going to tell you one of the challenges is the library board that's tonight.
Here's a simple one, Leo. You'd like this. We have people are frequently saying here in town, we have 12 libraries. They're counting the public libraries. And they've got a $17 million budget. Typical, if you go in the library here in the mall right now, the other day we went in, there were 15 kids. Half of them were homeless watching pornography. 15 people, half homeless porn watchers. And there were 7 librarians at about $85,000 apiece while they're going this. So here's the plan on the libraries, is that one of my plans is we close the libraries, close them all. And people go, oh, no. And I say, okay, tell me the last time you went and sat in a library and read a book.
Exactly.
Nobody does. Well, but here's the thing I say, just closing those 12. And they said, well, that's be all of them. I said, nope. We've got 104 public schools we pay for that have 104 libraries, Leo. We've got 116 libraries in this county. I said, just close the 12 that are doing nothing but showing porn and let them turn to trash.
That's right.
Pay
one right here in the mall.
Yeah, yes. Pay a few bucks to keep the school libraries open.
And beating up the teachers.
That's right. 104 libraries. We close those 12, and you'll like this with the homeless thing. Get the county out of the homeless business. They don't know what they're doing. It's a failure. Seed it to a coalition, a nonprofit coalition of local churches run by 2 big brand names, Gospel Mission and Victory Outreach, who have solved this for years. And you would save $32 million to $33 million a year with the turning it over to the private coalition. You'd save 17 with the getting rid of the libraries. That leaves 50. We pay down our $27 million deficit, and we immediately have a surplus going into the year of $23 million.
And that's the county, and the city of Reno is 25 million plus, and Little Old Sparks, where I live, they're 12 million in the hole.
Wow. Well, look, even when I was at U of A, homeless folks were coming into the library there and using the computers to watch porn and stuff like that. So, I mean, if it's made accessible for obviously students of those schools respectively to go there. That's one thing. Public libraries, I mean, wow, that's a lot of money. Think about it. $33 million. I mean, that's a ton of money.
Oh yeah. It's just ridiculous. And they, well, if you go there, like I say, the librarians are. I mean, what on earth do 7 or 8 librarians when you got a dozen people in there? What are they doing?
Nothing. I mean, they're mean too, and they're rude.
Sounds like you got some trauma from growing up there, Shannon.
Paul, tell them tonight.
Well,
tonight.
Hold on, real quick. We got to take our first break here on America Matters. When we get back, I want to hear what's going on. But this is Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd, Shannon Lawson. We got Ray Rocha and Paul White with us today. We'll be right back.
Barbecue the Butcher's Kitchen would like to thank every customer for your loyalty and continued support through these challenging times. Call for takeout and delivery of rib tips, brisket, ahi, tuna, roasted veggies, and much more. Barbecue's open from 11 to 7, Monday through Saturday, and delivers hot food safe and healthy. Call 499-5855 for details. 499-5855 Barbecue, as featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. Get real. Get into Barbecue Reno.
Families of deceased and cremated veterans can apply to receive commemorative plaques or urns from VA. If they do not want to inter their loved ones in a VA national cemetery or receive a government-furnished headstone marker or medallion for placement in any cemetery, commemorative urns are used to hold the remains of a deceased cremated veteran, and commemorative plaques are designed to hang on a wall. If a family chooses a plaque or an urn, VA is prohibited by law from interring that veteran's remains in a VA national cemetery or from providing a headstone marker or medallion for placement in any cemetery. To be eligible, the veteran must have served in the armed forces on or after April 6, 1917, and must be eligible for a headstone or marker under 38 U.S.C. 2306D, and the veteran's remains must have been cremated with no portion of the remains interred at any location. For more information about the NCA memorial options, go to the VA website or contact David Ottler, a NV Veterans Advocate with Walton's Funeral and Cremation, 775-843-1901.
In times of market volatility, it can be a good reminder to revisit your financial strategies to make sure they align with your goals. Call 775-674-2222 or visit nvretirementplanners.com. Advisory services are offered through Nevada Retirement Planners, an investment advisor in the state of Nevada. Any insurance products and services are offered through Nevada Senior Advisors. Nevada Retirement Planners are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any government agency. Nevada Retirement Planners does not provide legal or tax advice.
Are you shy and don't want to talk on the air? Text us your questions or comments to 775-237-2266. Now back to the show.
All right, folks, we're back with America Matters. I'm your host, Leo Zacky, with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson. We got Paul White and Ray Rocha with us today. So glad that they could join us. And Ray, before we went to break, I know you had an announcement, or Paul had an announcement. I can't hear Paul. Hold on.
Go ahead. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're on.
Okay. Yeah, tonight, Leo, their library board of trustees are having a meeting to consider what to do with the library director, who has, his achievements have been bringing Drag Queen Story Hour in, keeping any kind of wholesome presentation out, making porn. Clark County doesn't allow a drop of porn in their libraries. We have it available, unlimited, uncensored down there. The guy is just everything he promotes has to be something promoting homosexuality or DEI or transgender, and that's okay if he's got all those strong opinions, but we're not going to pay him to go do that. For a county that doesn't want that. So hopefully tonight they're going to terminate him, and they could announce they don't have to rehire because they're going to close the libraries and use the school ones. We'll see.
You need to tell them, or Leo to know, believe it or not, this guy had a choice of either resigning or be fired in Berkeley. And then he ended up getting hired here.
Yeah.
And Shannon Jacks called me last night and let me know that they're going to be enforced. The LGBT queers are going to be enforced there. So our friend Troy is the head of the Hells Angels here. They're going to go down and provide security at the library because the LGBT queers are coming in force with weapons, signs, everything else.
So is the sheriff's department.
Wow.
They're going to be there.
Yeah, tell them they may want to pull that stuff at Tesla dealerships or Black Lives Matter marches, but no, we're not putting up with it.
Try that in a small town.
Yep, coming down.
Yeah.
Oh my God! What a great success! Drag Queen Story Hour for kids.
Yeah. Well, here's what he told me, Leo. My wife and I wrote a book recently called Bible Morals for Children, A Parent's Guide. How to use, like I've used in public schools for years, not teaching Bible stories as proselytizing anybody, but using them for the moral principles they teach. And it was an acclaimed thing. And so after they did all kinds of promoting for the Drag Queen Story Hour. And I went to the guy and I said, my wife and I'd like to book a room to present the book to parents who might be interested in hearing about it. And he said, well, you'd have to have $1 million insurance liability policy. I said,
$1 million for
to talk about a Bible book in the library. And I said, did the drag queens pay $1? Of course, they did not.
No, not a penny.
Yeah, and that's just the beginning of what this guy does. He's just it's definitely not a fit, and I hope the trustees have the backbone to stand up and run him down the road tonight.
Well, I hope so too. But this is outrageous. I mean,
oh yeah,
the woke policies that are getting in here, and it's just a waste of money. And the fact that we have to have this completely different standard for religious books.
Yeah. Well, they just don't want. They didn't want to have. A friend of mine said he wanted to book and do a thing on firearm safety and why families should own firearms. And no, we can't do that. I mean, the best thing though is when I challenged him on the pornography thing, and he said, well, you have to do it. It's constitutional First Amendment free speech right. Well, I believe it's 2006. Supreme Court made the landmark decision that no library is required in any way to put pornography in there. And in fact, if they do it and it's not screened off and whatever, they're violating. They can be sued. And so he tells this reporter who interviewed him that. He had privacy screens on all of them. He had none. It gets more disgusting. I mean, we ran a black light search on the carpet underneath the computers. And
no.
You can put it together and guess what we saw. So it's just been disgusting upon disgusting. So it's overdue for him to leave.
Amen.
It's just turning these places into unsafe habitats for children. I mean, think about the child predators that are probably hanging around there.
Oh yeah. Well, and then the homeless place, it's all intertwined. The homeless place would haul van loads of these vagrants over there to watch the porn. We've got photos of the vans pulling up in front of the library, dropping them off.
At the main library here in Reno.
And then you go in there, Leo, and then let's say you've got your niece, nephew, child, grandchild, whatever, the library, and they say, well, I need to go to the bathroom. Okay, so they go to say it's a boy and they go to the bathroom. Homeless go in there and strip down and take little sponge baths there, so your kid can walk in on the naked vagrants there.
Oh man!
It just goes. It gets
it's out of control. It's out of control.
Yep. And everybody will tell you, it's you've got to be compassionate. No. You're just screwing it up.
That's part of the problem that's happening in this country. There's too many brainwashed people in elected offices from when they were going to school, which leads us to education. Tell them what's happening in Washoe County, how screwed up it is.
Well, in the schools, I mean, there's not a night that you can't go on X or one of the platforms and see little phone shots people have gotten in the classes of the most abusive, disrespectful, and violent acts of kids towards teachers you've ever seen. Cursing them, lewd talk. Then this big thing was put your cell phone in we'll get special pouches because the kids are just on their phones all the time in class. Make them, and they'll check them in. I wrote a whole editorial about it. It was going to be a big failure. And LAUSD just came out in the paper today. They spent $7 million getting these little pouches and things. And Nobody's doing it at all. Washoe County, it's a joke too. I said there's one way you get them to put the phone away, or their keys away, or a little pencil away. You just say, you're interrupting with the instruction. You got to put that away. And they do, great. They don't, out they go. You have to do it a couple times. You say, well, sounds like you want, what do you call it, home study for the rest of your high school career, and that's fine too. I mean, they don't. We've just got people that don't know what they're doing.
They need consequences, Paul.
Absolutely, Eddie.
Yeah, and that's really what it comes down to, is that there is an absence of consequences, and the woke culture has been allowed to permeate at all levels where it enables this kind of behavior. You don't have people that are being held accountable. I mean, what happens? Do they ever catch people doing this stuff? And when they do they actually go to jail, or are they just simply removed from the premises and let go?
Yeah. Well, and again, all these things intertwine. Our swamp includes our district attorney office. That's Chris Hicks. It's an elected position, and hopefully people remember that in 26. He sent a thing out. Our inside informants within Reno Police and the Sheriff's Department tell us that the district attorney's office, Hicks, put out a thing saying, we want to cut back on arresting these guys. Just give them arrest warrants.
The homeless.
Then they won't show up. Yeah. And the officers were saying, you've absolutely got two systems of justice. They go easy as can be on the chronic offenders with an armload of priors. And he said, if somebody like you or me who happens to be white, male, and no record, you're going to get the book thrown at you for the very, very same offense.
Ridiculous.
Yep.
So, I mean, look, there's a whole host of issues that are going on there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just glad that you're able to draw attention to this. I hope folks in Reno know what's going on. I mean, we got a lot of folks tuned in to 93.7 KPGF and AM 1060 out there. Look, folks, if this is an issue or something that you've heard about that we haven't discussed, don't forget, text in at 775-384-4444. Or if this is something that's happening in your community outside of the Reno area, it doesn't matter, any part of the country. So.
Well, also, Leo, we do through Education Crusade, our organization, we encourage people to do kind of a go with us on kind of like a de facto field trip. Let us show you where the camps are. Let's take you over there. Talk to these guys. Let's see how earnest they seem to be about seeking services. They're not. They'll tell you. Let's take them to the library when the homeless court's meeting in there and see where the penalty, the sentence for a misdemeanor they get convicted of is something like go up in the parking lot and pick up 25 pieces of paper. And we say, we'll take you to these things and show you. We'll help you write op-eds. We'll take you to speak at the commissioners' meetings.
And Leo, that was one of the things that came up that I brought when we did the podcast luncheon yesterday. Quite a few people had come up to me and saying, well, where's Paul's proof statements? When you say something.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a good response. Paul answered.
Yeah, I told Ray that, start with 50 years plus of doing this in about 6 different major cities, including the epicenter, which would be Skid Row in L.A., and working in a dozen different schools and transforming a dozen different schools in 7 different districts. But I said, it's kind of like when you get up to the highest level math problems, you don't have to prove it. You're right. Somebody challenged you. They have to prove you're wrong. And I said, any of these people questioning what I say, they don't want to go out there with me. They don't want to come see it. They can't show me one individual they've ever used their approach on. And so basically, how the left does. It's like they'll throw anything out there to try to deny reality, you might say.
Or divert it.
Yep.
Well, it's something that they can't accept. They like to just kind of brush the real facts under the table because they have their feelings, the emotions. Those are always the things that seem to get in the way of reality because it's about feel-good policy, not factual policy.
Leo, before the next break, what's your feeling about the governor of Maine, that Pam Bondi is threatening? Well, they're suing her as of today.
So what exactly is going on with that?
Oh, Pam Bondi is suing the state of education department, the state of Maine.
Maine won't change their policy
over the transgender athletes.
Correct.
Transgender, yeah.
Yeah, she says it's a lawsuit over Title IX is about states' rights.
Yeah.
Well,
they just did it this morning.
It's ridiculous.
But see, Leo, that's where they need to know. She's got states' rights as far as the state funds that her own state puts into her own public schools. What they're talking about cutting her funds off is cut off the federal ones, and the president's got control over that. And so, go ahead and fund your school district with the money you put in, Maine. But we're as a country, we're not going to pay for the transgender.
We don't have enough money.
Leo, one of the things that's exciting to me about when Paul talked to me a couple of days ago, not only is he the one that's supporting and endorsing you, but he'll meet you anywhere to talk about education.
Anywhere.
And it doesn't matter where. America Matters Media is going to foot the bill along with Wainema Ranch. So the good news is he's ready for you whenever you are. I've told them at the end of the show when we're ready to go to open mic that if they would like to stay because they think they might have questions, that would be fine. Back to you, Leo.
Yeah, well, we got some topics I'd like to get to here in the next half hour. So definitely stick with us. And Paul, I appreciate that very much. This is America Matters with Leo Zacky, Eddie Floyd, and Shannon Lawson. Joining us today is Paul White and Ray Rocha. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Eddie Floyd. Let me tell you about my favorite non-profit public charity, Wainema Wild Horse Sanctuary, located on the Forsyth Ranch in Hallelujah Junction area. And please go to www.WaiNemaRanch.com. That's WYNEMA Ranch.com.
Hi, I'm Nathan Osmond of OsmondHomeLoans.com. I'm part of the elite team at Security Home Mortgage and want to become your preferred lender. There's never been a better time to lock in the rate. Unlike many of our competitors, we will not outsource your loan. Our setup, processing, underwriting, and closing staff are all in-house and will help you every step of the way. If you're looking to buy a home in Utah, or if you live here and wish to take advantage of historically low rates, then I am your mortgage man. Be sure to visit OsmondHomeLoans.com today to receive a free quote. That's OsmondHomeLoans.com.
NMLS number 2043092.
Ugh, I'm so over this. I diet, I work out, and the scale won't budge.
I hear you. Nothing's more discouraging than doing all that work and seeing no result.
I just don't get it. I'm eating healthy, hitting the gym. What's your secret?
Honestly, I was in the same boat until I found Active Life Integrated Health.
Wait, what's different about them?
It's a natural weight loss approach. Dr. Tom and his team help with appetite suppression, energy boosts, hormone balancing, and the FM diet. It's not about starving yourself or exhausting workouts. It's about resetting your body to burn fat the right way.
I'm Dr. Waldorf, chiropractic physician at Active Life Integrated Health, where our natural approach helps you lose weight safely and effectively without extreme dieting or chemicals. Call 775-842-0065 today to schedule your complimentary consultation. Also, the first 25 callers who mention promo code Health Matters will receive 10% off of your treatment program. So call 775-842-0065 to boost your energy and start losing weight today.
To join the conversation, call 844-790-TALK. That's 844-790-8255. Now back to the show.
Folks, we are back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson, and joining us there in the studio is Ray Rocha and Paul White. We're so glad that they're with us, and I wanted to start getting into a couple of topics here. And I'd love to hear their take on some of these issues. But Eddie, let's talk about the first segment we had here.
If you don't mind, China has signaled openness to renewed trade talks with the United States. Exactly what does that mean, Leo?
Well, the condition, it's respect is what it is.
Yeah.
Beijing is calling for a more measured tone from Washington and a clearly designated U.S. point person to lead any future negotiations. Because China's economy is growing at a robust 5.4%. In early 2025 here in the first quarter, but it seems both sides are now weighing the economic costs of prolonged tension. And China is waiting for the U.S. to name a counterpart with direct backing from President Trump.
Wow. What do you think that really means, Leo?
Well, it means that they know who's in the driver's seat now. That's us, baby. China understands America isn't rolling over anymore. How about that, guys?
I love it.
Oh, yeah. Well, Trump's doing just what he said he did. That we've given so much to so many for so long, they've got no respect or gratitude, and he's getting that back.
That's right.
We've been the world's piggy bank for several decades.
Absolutely. Way too long. And
since 45. 1945.
I blame both Republican and Democrats that didn't have the cojones to stand up and do like Trump's doing.
Right. Well, both parties, just all the elected officials over the years are the reason we've gotten to this point. The lack of, like you said, that testicular fortitude. But this tariff regime hasn't hit tech or agriculture. It's reshaping everything. And Trump's administration is emphasizing tougher stances on China while also contending with domestic and economic concerns. And the path forward will likely be rocky and nuanced and high stakes, but it's going to be a more respectful one. And that's what the U.S. officials are saying, and I can see that happening as well. President Trump, who set the tone, is now demanding fair treatment for American workers and businesses. So now for the talks to happen, they'll happen on our terms with clarity, consistency, and a focus on results. Oh, I love that one. Results.
Nobody in the world right now is mouthing off related to the U.S. Iran is saying, well, okay, we'll talk. The one who I think is going to be the biggest sticking point, they just need to kick him in the pants, is Putin. Putin
really?
is the most, I feel he's the most stubborn one we got right now. I think we've got, Netanyahu's always been on our side. We got Iran. They're turning around. China's one talk. What's he say? 170 countries want to meet with Trump or talk to him.
The only problem with China is they don't keep their word.
No, that's a lot of the others too. Putin's not been so good. I like Putin. Putin just needs to come around.
Leo, if you don't mind, I'd like to move on to another topic right now.
Sure, okay? Sure.
Let's go on the Mexico's clean beaches versus San Diego's sewage crisis. Just wanted to follow up on the story we talked about yesterday to stir up a wave of outrage, because that's what it is, outrage. Because while Mexico's beaches shine, San Diego's coast is drowning in sewage.
Yeah, well, picture Las Playas de Tijuana today. The beaches clean, coastlines restore, tourists snapping beachside photos and with ocean views behind them. But Mexico has invested heavily in scrubbing up its Pacific Riviera, and it shows coastal beautification projects, local cleanup campaigns, and new tourism incentives on full display.
Wow.
But now picture Imperial Beach, just a mere 15 miles north. The sand might be the same color, but the signs aren't. Beach closed, sewage contamination, no swimming, unsafe water quality.
The Tijuana River.
Right, exactly. Well, it's all because it's being dumped in there.
Yep.
By Mexico.
Yep.
And, the air smells different. The surf is certainly off limits, and the community are furious, and rightfully so. Wow. So we play another clip here for you guys about what's actually going on to visualize this.
I love that. Let's do it.
The Viaduct project in Tijuana, Mexico, which is designed to create a direct transportation route from the city's international airport to Las Playas Beach, led to the breaking of a crucial sewage pipe in August 2022. This pipeline had previously diverted Tijuana sewage 10 miles south into the ocean off Mexico's coast. Since its failure, over 22 billion gallons of sewage per year have instead flooded into the United States through the Tijuana River Valley. This has drastically increased the sewage contamination in South Bay San Diego, specifically in Imperial Beach, which has seen a 600% spike in pollution, all while Mexico's Pacific Riviera, Las Playas Beach, has undergone a coastal cleanup. It's hard not to question why Mexico's beaches are being prioritized, while South San Diego, specifically Imperial Beach, suffers the consequences.
Wow. Look at that nastiness in there.
Well, meanwhile, look what's Newsom saying about that? Nothing. He's too busy saying he's going to sue Trump for trying to do tariffs. He doesn't want to do his job.
Cool. Why would he? Why would he want to do his job? He hasn't done anything at all. But think about it. 22 billion gallons of untreated sewage. freaking vile.
It's unbelievable.
But Leo, you probably know this has been going on for decades, and they haven't solved the issue.
Right, and there's been federal
when you
money.
become governor, you're going to take care of it?
Absolutely. I mean, there's even been federal money that's been put aside to help fix this, but God forbid our leaders would do the right thing here in California. And the worst part is what also happens down at Imperial Beach is that's where our Navy SEALs train.
Yep.
And they swim in that nasty stuff, and they get sick, and they get
Wow.
disease. Our most elite fighting force trains in that filth. So, I mean, Mexico basically install a trash chute that dumps it into our backyard while polishing their own front lawn. I mean, it's ridiculous. They clean their coastline, but they didn't fix the pipe that sends the crap north.
Right.
And the cleanup stops at the border. And, well, we're not.
But it's been going on for years, even before the pipe broke. They finally put in something, but it's been for years. I know when I lived down in San Diego County 20 years ago, it was already going on and contaminated.
Thank you, Ray. Leo, I might be 100% off base, but why is there more urgency to protect tourism in Mexico than to protect the health of the American citizens?
Good question, Eddie.
Well, I'd have to say corporate influence. Large hotel chains, airlines, and cruise companies have significant lobbying power both in the U.S. and Mexico, and advocate. It's hard to keep travel unrestricted. So these economic players can shape narratives that downplay risks to keep tourism and profits alive. So sometimes they do it at the expense of public health. And tourism is a major economic driver down in Mexico, and for many regions, tourism accounts for a huge portion of jobs and GDP. I mean, you got Cancun, Los Cabos, Riviera Maya. I mean, just a few examples, and they rely almost entirely on foreign tourism, especially from the U.S. And so there's been a lot of bilateral interest between the U.S. and Mexico when it comes to that. And the U.S. and Mexico are economically intertwined. So if the tourism industry in Mexico suffers, there could be ripple effects, especially in border towns among U.S. businesses that have stakes in Mexican hospitality and or the real estate services. So that's a big issue with that right there.
Amen. It's almost like they've got two drugs that are coming. Jeff Whitaker.
Well, anyways, what I was saying is that this issue that's one big thing, but the fact that our money is not being allocated for this, even though it's been set aside for this,
right,
shows you more failures at the levels of leadership. Again, it's the same kind of concept, right? With the libraries that are wasting millions of dollars right there in your own backyard in Reno, where the homeless are coming in and using it as basically a triple X theater.
Wow. Leo, I'm going to shift here.
And they're just well, hold on. I want to keep talking about this a little more.
Sure.
I mean, Paul, you see what I'm saying, right?
Yep. Absolutely.
It's wasting money. Our government knows about this. It's been publicly stated, but where's the action? Where's the accountability? How can we do this to ourselves? I mean, Imperial Beach is a beautiful place, and you guys have been down there.
Yep.
Many times. Used to live near there.
Right. You were in Bonita. So,
right.
I mean, it's just there's a lot of just craziness going on, these issues. So,
well, that's where I think you'd get the traction to leap out so far ahead of the candidate pack that they wouldn't even be able to see ahead, is to come in with, on each one of these things, Leo, say, and this is exactly how I'm going to solve this thing. We're going to enforce the law.
Which is exactly what he does with everything. Leo, I'm going to change borders on you.
Well, hold on before we do it, because we'll go to our last break here in this hour a little early. When we come back, we'll hit that one at the top. So,
sounds good.
With Eddie Floyd, Shannon Lawson, we got Ray Rocha and Paul White with us today. We'll be right back.
Can you define the 4 different parts of Medicare? Do you have Medicare prescription drug gap coverage? At Nevada Senior Advisors, we will walk through the different parts of Medicare, including Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, Part D prescription drug plans, to help you determine which option is right for you. Visit nvsenioradvisors.com, call 775-674-2223 to set up an appointment. Nevada Senior Advisors is not affiliated with or endorsed by the Federal Medicare Program or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.
Barbecue the Butcher's Kitchen would like to thank every customer for your loyalty and continued support through these challenging times. Call for takeout and delivery of rib tips, brisket, ahi, tuna, roasted veggies, and much more. Barbecue's open from 11 to 7, Monday through Saturday, and delivers hot food safe and healthy. Call 499-5855 for details. 499-5855 Barbecue, as featured on diners, drive-ins, and dives. Get real. Get into Barbecue Reno.
At A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, we've been accomplishing happy feet for over 30 years.
We offer a various range of shoe styles and sizes for both men and women. From all-season shoes and orthotics to work boots and safety shoes, our professional and reliable staff possesses the knowledge to help you find the proper shoes to fit your needs. Hard to fit? Hard to find?
A Proper Fit Footwear is here to give our customers happy feet. We make people aware of potential foot problems as we're sizing their feet, suggesting the right arch support, and guiding them to the proper shoes for their needs.
Stop by A Proper Fit Footwear at 4001 South Virginia Street in the Reno Town Mall today, and allow the owner Mike Jones and our fabulous staff to find the perfect pair of shoes tailored to your specific needs.
A Proper Fit Footwear in the Reno Town Mall, the home of happy feet, where comfort and your feet meet.
Want to expand your advertising dollar? Sponsor this or any America Matters program by calling 775-827-8900, extension 2. Now back to the show.
There we go. All right, folks, we're back with America Matters. I'm Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd and Shannon Lawson joining us today. It's Ray Rocha and Paul White. We're glad to have them with us.
Amen.
And, Eddie.
Yeah, I'd like to change, if you don't mind, Leo. Tell me what Gavin Newsom is saying when he talks about let's encourage Canadian tourists.
Yeah, so it's certainly a PR stunt aimed at Canadian tourists. And on April 14th, just 2 days ago, Gavin Newsom, in partnership with Visit California, launched an international tourism campaign aimed at encouraging Canadians to visit the state.
Wow. It's not your average tourism ad with beach shots and winery tours, though, yes, there are plenty of those. This campaign carries a not-so-subtle message. We're not Washington.
Yeah, so Newsom and his friends over at Visit California are making a big deal about a 12% drop in Canadian tourism as of 2025, February 25, that is. And apparently tariffs and some bold comments about America's position on Canada has, Canadians up in arms. And there's been talk of travel boycotts and border nerves and even some weird buzz about annexation. Even though it's the reality is it's inevitable for them.
Alberta said they're primed to become the 51st state.
Well, and if they lost Alberta, they would lose all their
Banff.
Banff is amazing. I'm looking forward to going there at some point, but that's where they have a lot of oil and a lot of crops. So they would they would not fare well without that. So if you ask me, it's just Canada being very overly dramatic about America flexing its strength again. And instead of standing up for our national policies, Newsom decides to launch a campaign that basically throws the president under the bus.
Wow, he's a real team player, isn't he, Leo?
Always has been. So now Newsom's spending millions and not taxpayer money this time on a tourism campaign up into Canada, pushing this message that California is different from the rest of the country.
Yeah, it sure is. You drive up Highway 5 right now, and the agriculture's disappeared.
Yeah.
22% of the water they're drinking is toilet to tap, scheduled to go way more. His schools are hideous beyond description, and the biggest thing he's got to, and he let the Where on earth was the governor when this national emergency in Palisades with its continuing problems? What on earth did he do except lie to that woman when he was on the phone, telling her he was talking to Biden or something?
Right.
You know,
he is a liar.
Leo, what do you think of his podcast?
It's a joke.
It's a joke.
And the worst part is he's got time to do a podcast, his own podcast.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, of course he does. When you ignore all the issues that we have here in California, I'd have plenty of time if that was the case.
Yeah.
What a piece of crap he is, you know?
Yeah, you know, you sure know who is trying to stir things up back in Washington, D.C., but don't let that ruin your beach plans. Still go to California.
Yeah, that's what his ad says, literally. I mean, that's
Right.
exactly what it says. And, that's the kind of passive-aggressive virtue signaling we've come to expect from California leadership. It's not about helping small businesses or hotels. It's about scoring political points and pandering to the left-leaning crowd that eats this crap up. I mean, he's trying to paint California as the cool, rebellious teenager in the American family with the shaved half of one head and the pink hair on the other side.
Right.
An entire tool chest of metal in their face and, some woke ideology on their t-shirt and some stupid tattoo. That's not cool or rebellious. That's hideous and embarrassing.
Amen.
I got a news flash, Gavin. We're one country, and the president is doing a job to put America first. Trade, security, and yes, even tourism. So let's take a look at some of these numbers here. Just to give you an idea. In 2024, about 1.8 million Canadians visited California and spent close to $3.72 billion.
That's with a B. All right. Wow. 3.72 billion with a B. Okay. To me, Leo, that's solid business.
Oh, absolutely. And I help contribute to bring at least one of those Canadians here.
Well, see, Leon, what they're pretending is they're pretending like the water's just always going to be there in California. In one of those heavy storms we've had over the last few years, one storm, if we had adequate catch basins, was projected that it would supply California's water needs for 10 years. What's Newsom done other than letting all this water just run through the drains into the ocean? I mean, every big issue, it'd be nice to put out one of our local guys here, Leo, offered the school superintendent $30,000 donation to her favorite charity if she'd debate me, and she wouldn't have done it for $130,000. And and the same thing is, I would think, I would think it'd be a nice time to throw out a debate challenge to Newsom and say, come on, let's have at it about the state.
Right. Yeah, well, the good news is he's out. Problem is he's setting up plans and positioning himself, posturing to run for president in 2028. I mean, it's so clear. And it's the worst part is he's ignoring his duties to the state. Well, not that he ever really focused on doing them to begin with. He's just ignoring every opportunity to be a leader and focusing on just positioning himself with his title. And so what Newsom doesn't say is that maybe the dip in visitors has to do with more than global inflation or rising airfare and other economic factors other than Trump, protecting American jobs and demanding fair trade deals.
Right.
If Canadians are upset because they're finally being asked to play fair, well, that's on them, not us.
Right.
Right.
And Newsom's campaign isn't about, it's not just about wine tours and Hollywood glitz. It's part of a long-term rush to be part of because he's the push by long-running push by the California political elite to act like their state is somehow its own country. Now, from an economic standpoint, it could stand on its own, but the way it's being managed, there's no way in hell it could do that. The state's almost $3.6 trillion in debt.
Wow.
And every year we keep adding more and more to that number. Why? Because they're not managing the state properly. They're chasing away the businesses, they're chasing away the people, and they're restricting opportunity at every possible turn. You know, I mean, this campaign here that he's got going on screams, "Don't worry, Canadians, we're not like the rest of America."
Yeah, he's that's more true than he knows.
Yeah, that's true. He's absolutely right on that. That's the only thing he's right on, Leo.
I mean, look, last time I checked, foreign policy is the job of the federal government, and not a governor who thinks his job gives him a foreign affairs degree. I mean, yeah, he might have gone to the school for future world leaders under Klaus Schwab, but which is true. He did.
He did.
Total globalist. But I mean, look, we can't have 50 mini presidents running around sending mixed messages to the rest of the world. It's confusing. It's divisive. And worst of all, it undermines what real leadership looks like.
Well, the phrase "pompous ass" could have been created to describe him. And I mean, like even you mentioned Hollywood, and they're they're kind of Hollywood's kind of living in the past too. If you see, they're cranking out zillions of movies that nobody wants to go see. If you've ever been down to like the Hollywood, where the theater is and all that, and the stars and that
Hollywood Boulevard,
you don't want to spend 10 minutes there. It's gotten so tacky.
Oh, I mean, beyond the tackiness, I mean, you got street vendors serving food without licenses or permits.
Oh, yeah.
You got all these like really weird people in these like costumes of characters trying to like sell you a photograph, and the streets are filthy. You got homeless people just posted up on the side there, just gross and smelly. And there's a lot of crime. I mean, there's really a lot of crime that goes on right there on Hollywood Boulevard. Plus, they got that filthy subway station that nobody uses.
Oh, and violent. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot.
What do you think about anti advising old Newsom?
I'm sorry.
Who?
Anti.
Oh, Pelosi.
Pelosi.
Oh, Pelosi.
Anti-Pelosi.
Anti-Pelosi.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're literally related. These families have been those are two of the ruling families here in California. I mean, obviously, they're in cahoots, and it's all a part of a plan to get him in a position where he can somehow be the Democrat frontrunner for president. And unfortunately, their talent pool is so abysmal that it looks like he kind of is.
Yeah.
And the fact is that there's so many people around the country that don't know anything about this guy other than he's some apparently slick, good-looking person. That's what they say. And I could totally disagree with that. I think he looks I don't think he's good looking. I don't think he's slick. I just think he looks like a greasy used car salesman.
He's Mr. Pretty Boy.
I saw his ad, Leo, and it looked more like a travel ad, than a campaign launch.
Yeah, well,
my guess on his resume, Leo, would be a couple of bullet points for Kirby Vacuums and Amway.
Kirby Vacuums
and Amway, yeah, the previous work experiences.
Well, he's
spoken by somebody who used to sell both of them.
Well, he's trying to boost his image by standing against Trump and hoping that the international press will eat it up and it'll put him in line for a presidential run. That's all this is, and here we are, bearing the brunt of it. Countries being divided, mixed messaging's being put out there. There's no leadership running the state. He's running around, putting out a podcast, doing his little hand gestures and run-on sentences that have weird stops in between as he reaches further and further up his ass to grab more bullshit.
Yeah.
Tim Modern says, hey, Leo, do you think Harris Asshat will run for governor?
I don't know. It's possible. I mean, there's a lot of variables. I mean, it could happen. I don't know. It's a
and
Democrat.
Deanne says, I think Shapiro will run and kill his chances.
Josh Shapiro?
Oh, will kill Newsom's, you mean?
Yeah, Deanna Tate. I think Shapiro will run and kill his chances.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
So, no guarantees on that. But anyways, I mean, Gavin Newsom, enjoy your ad campaign. The rest of us will be here actually doing the hard work, putting America first.
Amen.
Freaking scumbag. I can't wait for this guy to be out of office. Hey, might have him out there sooner than you think. We got the recall going on here. Folks, if somebody gives you that little piece of paper, that little piece of paper to sign, do us a favor. Sign
it.
We're trying to recall him again.
Sign it.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're unfortunately out of time here on the first hour of America Matters. But good news is it's Wednesday, so you get 2 hours. So stay tuned. We got more coming up. This has been Leo Zacky with Eddie Floyd, Shannon Lawson. We got Paul White and Ray Rocha today. Stay tuned. We'll be back in about 7 minutes.
Take it out.